Was there any hope before I spoke? Of course not. There's no hope in this world because you are going to die. Like the world, you can die any day. But you have kept yourself from going mad from this thought by living in hope, in the fantasy that you'll die in some distant tomorrow. The fact that the world is now about to die, too, is really incidental. It terrifies you because it means you've run out of tomorrows, run out of world to escape into. How can you go on in the world if it is going to end? You go on exactly as you are. Nothing's changed. How did you go on each day before, when you knew you were going to die? Only now you are wiser. Live the prayer. Transform your vibes by being more loving and understanding, by being more patient and aware. Die daily for the power. Rather than go out, go in. If you must, go out. But don't be confused. Don't try to do both at once. Help others who are receptive, and your children, to understand the difference between life and the world, between power and force. Play them this tape. Don't try to exclude the world from your life, for that will only create resistance and add more pressure. You live in this world. You help to make it. You just can't disown it or get out of it. But don't add to it either by trying to change it. Change yourself. Do what you must in the world. Give it its due, no more. And don't be deceived by it. See yourself as responsible for life and the earth every moment, not only when you feel like it or have the time. Don't hurt either any more than you have to. Yet don't feel guilty for what you may have done. Make a fresh start now. The earth forgives our transgressions. Be of good cheer. Life is now. Life goes on. If you still feel dismayed, please listen to what else I have to say. I am not going to give you hope, but I am going to give you more of the truth, which is the strength of life. I have said that the world is going to be destroyed, not the earth. That is very important to remember, because it is the earth, not the world, that you love. The earth will be here, and if you come to life in the time you've got, you'll be here too. However, the earth and the life forms on it will receive a savage, punishing blow. The earth too has to pay a penalty, as it's already doing, for the selfishness of the intelligent life, us, that came out of it. We humans are of the earth. We are the life form of intelligence on earth. And out of us came the human intelligence that created the world. The earth is responsible for us, as a mother is responsible for her child. If the child is irresponsible or unloving, the mother will suffer in some way. Our tremendous freewheeling intelligence is the problem. We are very clever, very smart children. But right from the beginning we have been takers. With our unfeeling intelligence and selfish greed, we took from the mother without consideration until a third of her was reduced to desert, for which we cleverly blamed the elements. And at the same time, we took from each other until half of us were starving or impoverished, for which we again cleverly blamed everything but ourselves. Without let-up, the mother and the life on the earth continue to be denuded and deprived by our rapacious intelligence. At every level of existence, our intelligence demonstrates exploitation and greed under the excuse and euphemism of progress. Progress is essential, says intelligence. Is it? Or is it only essential when you're running from something? The trouble is we got it wrong to start with. Our intelligence should have been the servant. That is, it should have served some real value. But the human race has had no real values, nothing of worth that ever lasted. And with nothing to serve but its shifting self-interest, the smart servant became the clever master. Today we still serve nothing of value, only progress and convenience. What do you serve? Give your life to that is not of your own. What does the world devote itself to? We simply don't know what to do with our intelligence. We're stuck. We're going towards self-destruction and we can't stop. Can you believe it? You've got to believe it. Keep reading the newspapers. It's actually happening. All we can do is fight and oppose. Be for or against. Vote this way or that, and hope for a final compromise. That's all our intelligence knows. Will you try this different way? Put intelligence second. Will you give life itself a chance? Is there anything intelligence has created that is worth saving in this world? Would you make a mental list, please? If you think certain persons are worth saving, then why does everybody die? And many of them very young, too. Life on earth, which is still the master of death, doesn't rate persons valuable at all, like our intelligence tries to. Life is indeed valuable. That's why it's always here. But persons come and go, like you and I will. Art? Our intelligence has murdered art. The art we think is art is a last pitiful remnant of the great art that once was life on earth itself, the art of being a human being before the intelligent person took over. Why do so few of the earth's population value what we call art, even among those in our own intelligent society? Why is there so much room in it for posturing and humbug? Because it is not art. It's just all we've got left, all we can muster at the end of an inglorious, intelligent era. A few paintings, statues, texts, buildings are all we've got to show for 5,000 years of intelligent civilization, 5,000 years of creeping westernization. What's the difference between an art gallery and a museum? The price of what's in it. Intelligence long ago priced art out of existence. And what will we leave of our art today? Our dancing, music, filmmaking, paintings, sculptures, words. Are they memorable? Are they alive? Or do they just manage to eke out a temporary living through the few who try so hard to give them life? Are they truly worth preserving as the creative spirit itself? Or have we, with our intelligence, debased the creative living spirit that was man, ourselves the great art on earth, and replaced it with an intelligible thing which is no more of the living spirit, the human being that is in all of us, than its fruitless offspring, the sterile spaceship, computer, and nuclear reactor? Perhaps you think our ideas are worth saving, such as the ideas that developed the means of creating electricity, space travel, and our high-tech, high-con society. That's because you can't see life beyond progress, beyond the bomb. All our ideas, because of the absence of any value to serve with them, go in one direction, away from life, which is the earth, towards death, the bomb, or its partner, the cultured germ. You can't get rid of the bomb or its cultured partner, no matter how hard you try. Because our technology, progress, is going to invent a better one, a simpler one, an easier one, a do-it-yourself more instant one. Keep reading the newspapers. It will be announced before long. It can't be avoided. That's the way we think. That's the way of progress. We develop wonderful ideas hoping to improve the world, and invariably they contribute to greater competition, rivalry, political opportunism, fear and exploitation, whether it is of space, nature, or its people. Because we don't know what to serve. Our intelligence is out of control. The rich have won. The share out stays fixed. The world will never change. But in winning and having at the expense of others, we have lost it all. Man, as the conscious surviving part of future life on earth, will retain his creative genius. But it will be controlled by the creative spirit within him. He will no longer have anything to do with progress. He will have discovered a real value to serve, the value of life. And his ideas will work for life, for good, not for death or gain. Anything worth preserving is of the earth and not of our civilization. Our achievements are completely expendable, as were the achievements of all previous civilizations. The earth and life on it is the only thing of any consequence that has survived any of them. And as I have already said, the earth and life on it is all that will survive of this civilization. Your dismay and attempt to disbelieve what I am saying is because you happen to be at the end of this civilization. Life is the same at the end of every civilization. And of course it's almost impossible for you, as it was for all the others at the end of their civilizations, to imagine that your world is finished. Would you please look at this? See whether it's true. For I can only point out the truth. You have to perceive it for yourself. All previous civilizations were corrupt like ours. A futile attempt by man to create a world of his own on the already perfect earth. And all eventually destroyed themselves, or unsuspectingly allowed themselves to be destroyed, through what they considered to be their finest achievement. In our case, this, the means of destruction, will be our scientific genius, our intellectual materialism. Please look closely at what I'm saying. Please don't believe me. Nothing of any previous civilization do we consider to be of sufficient value to retain as our way of life. Because nothing in those civilizations, like nothing in ours, was of any real value. Bits and pieces which we keep around are not a way of life. What is of real value, once you find it, you live. You don't shut it up in a museum or a book, and you don't study it. You just live it. You don't have to learn it. There are no scholars, professionals, or professors of life or love, which is the true value of life on earth. All scholars and practicing students are of the world, and they study the world. All scholars and students are as dead, that is, as lacking in life and love, as the things they study. Life is not something that can be studied. You can't study life on earth. You are life on earth. You can only love it and be it. All you can study are life forms or formulas, and they are not life. In precisely the same way as the scholars and professionals, the world's workers and its wealthy players, who have lost touch with the powers within, are as dead as the world they toil in and play in. Everything worth preserving is in man and the other species, and both will continue after the end of the world. But man is to undergo an enormous change in consciousness as a result of the catastrophic tragedy he will witness and be totally involved in. The experience will disintegrate all the old patterns of his mind, incendiarize and purge the human psyche to its foundations, and transform self-consciousness on earth. No class of people will be left out of it. No politicians, industrialists, royalty, financiers, generals, scientists, or workers to imagine and discuss the carnage from protected positions. Every individual will be the battlefield of personal, soul-raking tragedy. Why? Why, in the purpose of things, is such horrific devastation and suffering necessary? Because only personal tragedy changes man. Of all the tragedy that has been in the world, it has never affected the majority before. Consequently, man, who lives off the imagined security of the majority, the world, has changed very little. This time, however, engulfed in total tragedy of his own making, which leaves no escape, no room for discussion or fantasy, he will change. it will literally blow the world out of him. From our worldly point of view, he will know appalling personal suffering for a long time. But he will not see it that way. He will not recover and embrace the world again as we do now when tragedy strikes here and there. He will never be that man again. He will be a creature of higher consciousness. As the world within and without vanishes, he will come in contact with the powers within, the identical powers that I am endeavoring to reveal in you now. Helped and directed by these powers within him, he will be intelligent and responsible, since he will at last have discovered something of enduring value: life on earth. Self will have been obliterated from his self-consciousness. The powers guiding him from within will be intensely real and discernible, because they will no longer have to come through the deadening barrier of the world within him. The survivors will retain practically no memory of the past. They will not long for what has been. They will have an enlightened aversion for the past. They will know that it was the past, that which we defended as our way of life and allowed to happen, that decimated the earth and the life on it. They will have no sympathy at all for the likes of us, no affection for us. They will regard us as the unforgivable barbarians who wantonly and willfully deflowered the earth. Any person like us who should appear among them will have the world summarily obliterated from them in a way similar to what was done to the earth and the survivors. All that is worth preserving will be present in the men and women who survive. They will not draw on the memory of the past for anything. And unlike us, they will have nothing to learn, nothing to study and distract them which would allow another world like ours to build up again. They will have learnt the only lesson to be learned from living which we never learned: that to lose contact with the power within by trying to create another world with human intelligence is inevitable disaster. As I say, all that is worth preserving will be present in the individual survivors. They will love, serve, and know life in a way that man and woman have longed for but have not been able to do for 12,000 years. They will be in continuous intimate contact with the life within them as living spirit, and with the earth and life around them as one living organism. The world within them and around them will have vanished. It is impossible for your mind to imagine what the new life on earth, without the world, is to be. All our imaginings are of the world, of our self-consciousness, and are not true. But simply by listening to what I am saying, and not employing your worldly faculty of thinking back and reasoning, you will hear the truth and feel a subtle excitation in your being. It is the world within you alone that prevents you from hearing the truth and being yourself. Do you know why everything in the world has to be learned? Why you have to study and practice to sing, paint, dance, write, make music, be a doctor, carpenter, teacher, or any other form of self-expression? It is because learning and practicing, the great effort and years required to master anything, including school subjects, are the action of breaking through the awful crust of the world that encases each one of us. Learning and practicing, which are the act of surrendering great slices of our beautiful life on earth to the world, are the only means we have left of penetrating to our natural self underneath, which does everything so easily and naturally because it doesn't have to learn. Look at it, please. Have you noticed how easy, joyful and fulfilling it is expressing yourself after you've gone through the sweat and tears of learning? That is, after you've sacrificed enough of your precious life to the monster of the world. Every day, look closely and you will perceive it. The world requires man to make a greater sacrifice of his time or life. To be successful, the young are now forced to go to school or study until they are in their mid-20s, 30s, even 40s, or they just give up. But you can't just give up or drop out. The world won't let you. This is everybody's rat race. You've got to make the required sacrifice to the monster in one way or another, if not in time, then in pain, boredom, or tears. Have you noticed how many children and teenagers don't know what occupation they want to follow? What they want to do with their lives? That's the world in them. Its deadening weight prevents them from being able to feel their true selves, their natural bent for self-expression. Each individual is born with a natural ability to contribute something uniquely worthwhile to the earth and the life on it, if only it can be reached through the acquired and contrived learning of the world. Did you think learning and studying were a natural process? They are the most unnatural things on earth. That is why, even when we love a subject, we all find the learning bit so tedious. How much of your life have you had to spend learning? Aren't you still learning now? Struggling to break through the world in some way or other? It is due to that exhausting effort that you seldom feel really alive and long to be your natural self. We don't get much time for enjoying life on earth anymore, because the world compels us to waste most of it learning. But even if we give the world our entire life, which most people are doing today, it still doesn't deliver the goods. The world always shortchanges you. To learn to be a successful dancer, painter, actor, computer programmer, financier, or anything else means that after all those years of effort, you've only broken through to yourself in that one tiny area. The rest of your existence in this world remains as hard as anyone else's. Even the world's most successful and powerful people worry, feel cornered, misunderstood, and get depressed. No one who has learned to be anything in this world is happy for long. Learning is completely unnecessary, but only after the world has been removed from the person. While the world is there, and it is in everyone on earth, You have to go on learning and sacrificing your life for it. What is the world in you? The world is what you have learned. Take love. Everyone on earth today has learned how to love. The result is that when the time comes for them to really love, they have to unlearn what the world has taught them. And that is the pain, the dying to the world you feel when your lover fails you, or your heart is broken. Amazing, isn't it? And you thought it was all natural, didn't you? I am doing something similar to you now. For the last hour or so, I have been helping you to unlearn. I have been dismantling what the world has taught you by exposing what is unnatural and untrue in it and in your life. And that again is disturbing and painful, isn't it, as you reach through the pieces toward yourself? I am here to help you overcome the world. The pain you can handle, the world you can't. Goodbye for now.